So how do you deal with negative people without being a mega jerk? We're going to talk about it on today's podcast.
Hi, my name is Michael Johnson. I'm a ballroom dance professional, a life coach, and a peak performance expert. I'm part of a group of motivated people who are dedicated to attaining emotional mastery and unlocking our full potential. We've realized life is a dance. The ups and downs can spin you out of your mind, but it's time to take back control. It's time to become a lifer. We don't believe others are responsible for how we feel. In fact, we don't believe anyone can make us feel anything. We are a new breed of overachievers. Emotional mastery is our journey, and unlocking our full potential is the key. Welcome to the journey. We are lifers, and this is Magic for Life.
What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here with the Magic for Life podcast, and I'm so glad you joined me today, whether you're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, or even if you've decided to come and join us on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are here on YouTube and you can see me, what's up? Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And make sure you go and hit the like button and let us know that you're liking all of the great content we're putting out on Magic for Life. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And you have to hit that little bell on it, because otherwise it won't notify you when it is that we post any of our podcasts. We try to get out a few every week, and so we want to make sure that you know what's going on. But most importantly, help us change the world, right? We're trying to change the person one at a time, or the world one at a time. And so share this podcast or any of your favorites with one of your friends. All you have to do is hit the share button, grab that link, and send it over, or post it on Facebook or whatever. But let us know. And in the comments below, if you love this episode or any of the episodes, please let us know. It helps us keep going, helps us understand and know what things you like and what you want to know more about. So thank you again so much for joining us. But let's jump right in and talk about how to do this thing. How do you deal with negative people without being a jerk? So a big shout out to Elise. Thank you so much for requesting that. We love when you guys let us know what topics you want us to talk about. It's really helpful because it gives us a pulse on what's going on in your heads, what you guys are thinking about, what's going on in your world. So thank you so much, Elise. We appreciate you sending in that question. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about it today, because for goodness sakes, we all have to deal with that. How do you deal with somebody that's being negative and not be a jerk to them, or not be mean, or be that same negative back? Well, first of all, let me address this idea of model of the world. What's your model of the world? Well, I don't know. Maybe you haven't developed that. Maybe you haven't looked at it from that perspective. But each person has a model of the world. They have this ability to look at the world and be the center of it, the sun of their universe, right? We are the center of our universe, and we look around and we go, okay, this is how I see the world. This is from my experience, my upbringing, my teaching from my family, my teachers, my coaches, my bad experiences, my good experiences, whatever bad and good means to you. And we create this model, like those cute little airplane models or car models, or maybe you built a model of, well, Walt Disney did one of Disneyland, and look at how that turned out, right? So we all build these models of the world, right? When you go into Disneyland, it started with a model of that world, and you walk in and you feel like you are literally in a different place, a different world. So what is your model of the world, and what is it built on? Well, as you deal with negative people, you start to have to understand that everybody has a different model of the world. And that's really kind of a fancy way of saying that we each have our own different perspective. And perspective is interesting because we start to find out really quick that what we see isn't necessarily the truth. I learned a long time ago from one of my mentors that there are always three sides to the story. Always. Now that's a universal. That is crazy. Always three sides to a story. Now it's 3+ really, right? But at least three sides to the story. There's your side to the story. That means that based off of your model of the world, that your side of the story is how you see it, right? But you could have been with two other people and they would tell it. And if I asked all three people to tell that story, you would all tell it different. Now, there would be similarities. Those similarities, those crossovers tend to be what is considered maybe the truth of the situation. And even then, maybe not, right? So we say that there's three sides to a story. There's your side, there's their side, and then there's the truth, right? And so we have three different angles. And I tend to look at the truth as sort of a meta perspective, meta meaning about all, overlying everything, right? So you have at least two views or more, plus a meta perspective, which is outside of those views. This is why we like coaching. This is why we love coaching, right? The new age, the new generation of humans are all going to have coaches for all sorts of things. If you want to be a better accountant, you get an accountant coach. If you want to be better at basketball, you get a basketball coach. If you want to be a better quarterback, you get a quarterback coach, right? We get coaches for all sorts of things. Therefore, who's your life coach? Do you have one? Do you have somebody on your team that is your coach for your life? If you don't, maybe you ought to consider it. It'll change your world, your model of the world. It'll help you with perspective. It's always wonderful to have somebody in a meta perspective come back and help you out. Now, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is how to deal with negative people. Well, if you have a model of the world and you start to understand that your model of the world is unique to you and it maybe isn't the truth, sorry, it's just kind of how it is. It's not the truth. It's only the truth as you see it. But there's another perspective. There's a meta perspective going on, and it's hard to know that truth. But we can seek it out. We can collaborate with others around us. We can accept that other people have different views and different feelings and different opinions and different upbringings to be able to get them to the place that they're at where they're talking to you. Now, somebody might be negative to you, and they might have made a habit. They might be addicted to being negative. And that's fine. That could be just their model of the world. So if you can understand that you can lead by example, you see, you can change you. Let me say that again. You can change you. If you're not sure, comment that below so that you can help remind yourself. Write it in, type it in. I can change me. But changing other people has to start here, because they must be inspired to change. You see, I can't force you to change anything. You can decide you want to change. And now the information that I share with you, you can go, oh, I'm going to use that. And I'm going to combine that with what I've heard and what I've heard and what I've learned and what I've been coached by. And all of those things together can help you decide to make a change. Nobody could make me decide to lose weight. See, I got to be about 200 pounds. I wasn't meant to be 200 pounds. My frame, my body, my being wasn't meant to be that way. So I had to make that change. I had to decide myself that I wanted to change. But nobody telling me that I needed to lose weight was going to help. I had to decide. Now, there were things that inspired me. There were stories and inspiration and other things going on, and a future that I want to create and become a better person for. And so all of those things came into account. But how do you deal with somebody else when they're being negative towards you? Well, you have to decide by starting with you. And if you can understand those two things, that they have a different model of the world than you have, and that maybe something is going on in the world that is just absolutely tainting their experience and their perspective on what's going on, it starts to get easier to deal with those negative people, because you can have compassion. And you can actually look at it and go, gosh, something must be going on in their world that is rough. Something in their experience must have happened that got them to a place where they believe something that maybe isn't positive for them. And now maybe they're taking it out on me, but don't worry, because nobody can make you feel anything. No one except you. Nobody can make you feel anything. So if nobody can make you feel anything, then somebody being negative to you is really just about them. And if you listen to our podcast about compliments, that's it. I mean, we realize, hey, when somebody compliments us, we tend to take it as some sort of nice interaction. But really, they were just saying what they liked. They weren't really saying anything about you. So it's the same thing. And oftentimes we forget that whether negative or positive, we look at it kind of in a similar way. And we go, oh, positive, woo, it's good. They said something nice about me. But they say something negative and we go, oh, I can't believe that. How am I going to handle it? Well, we can handle it the same way. They're not talking about you. When they're saying something negative to you, when they're acting negatively to you, you can actually decide that that's not what it means. You can decide that it means they're having a hard day. You can decide that it means something else. You can reframe the meaning to the situation. And so instead of saying that person is negative and being a jerk back to them because responding with this doesn't work, right? Because as you push, they push harder back. You push harder back and it just doesn't work. But if they go, rah, and you go, oh, I'm sorry. They go, oh, I'm sorry too. You see, negative and positive. Oh, okay. Well, when somebody's being negative, you've got to be able to understand their model of the world. So you can do lots of things to do that, right? There's multiple sides to that story. And so let me leave you with this. Let me see if I can share my screen here and let's do something fun. I'm going to just bring up the whiteboard and we'll do this. Okay, great. So we've got ourselves a nice little whiteboard here. I'm going to just draw my amazing stick figures. This is awesome. All right, so oops, yeah, that's the right one. So we've got a cool little man. If you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing what I'm doing, right? But if you're on the podcast, just imagine I'm drawing a nice, amazing, beautiful stick figure. It's the best ever. It's maybe the best stick figure you've ever seen. Okay, so we're going to give him two little eyes and the nose. Okay, so if you can't see my stick figure, it's okay. My little JC, she would give me little teeny tiny hairs growing out my head because, well, you can see don't have many. So now we have this person, right? Now, what is a reframe? Well, quite simply put, let's take and we'll frame this, okay? And let's frame this in a nice black, okay? So I'm drawing a nice square frame around this beautiful and amazing stick figure. That's great. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, some of you might look at this picture and, well, decide right now as you look at this picture, right, which is a stick man with a square frame around it. You might decide, what does that mean to me? Okay, think about it right now. Just give it some kind of meaning. All right, great. Now, I'm going to erase that square around him, and let's try something else. What about this? Let's do this. We're going to draw a diamond shape and put it right around our beautifully drawn stick figure. All right, so if you're not on YouTube, go take a look on YouTube and see my amazing stick figure. So now I've put this frame, this diamond frame, around my stick figure. Now, what does this mean to you? Does it mean something different? Can you look at this picture and give it a new meaning? What would it mean now that there's a diamond around it? All right, well, we're getting deeper. Now let's take a look. We're going to take away that that diamond and we're going to do something else. All right, so let's see, what do we got here? Now, what if I do this? I'm just going to use this and I'm going to go here, 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 here. I'm just putting a bunch of stamps around this stick figure. Okay. Now, these stamps, again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see. Now, what does this mean? If you saw this picture, what would you think? You've given a meaning. You see, what I did was I stamped it, for those of you on Stitcher or iTunes, I stamped it with hearts. And so now when you look at it, this stick figure all of a sudden has meaning to it. How did I give it meaning? I gave it meaning by putting little hearts all over the place. All right, so I'm going to undo all those beautiful little hearts. And now you've given these things meaning. Now I'm going to do this. Let's see if I'm going to probably have to draw this freehand here. Let's see how I do. We'll go with this. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to draw this frame. I'm going to reframe this image of my stick figure. You ready? Here we go. This is awesome. Oh, that was not awesome. Hold on a second. Let me undo that. We'll start again. I'm going to draw this. Here we go. Bang. And now we're going to go like this. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it's starting to shape up here. But very quickly, a bunch of you are going to give this meaning. Now, again, please don't take this I'm not inducing anything. So whatever meaning you give it, you gave it. That's it. So right now you're starting to get it. It's starting to come into play. And what is this starting to mean to you? Again, if you're not on YouTube, go watch it on YouTube and you'll see this develop. Uh-oh. What's happening? What are you starting to get? Are you starting to see it? Are you starting to give it meaning one way or another? Okay. Oh, it's starting to get some meaning. Now, interestingly enough, I can take a couple different things here. And if I do this, all of a sudden, I gave it new meaning. Now, this is interesting. Again, you got to watch it on YouTube and see. So I'm sorry for those of you that are out there in podcast land. All I did was draw one extra line here, and it starts to give shape to a different meaning of this, right? But if I undo that one line, right, and I'm being vague because I'm curious to see what it means to you, right? But if I take this line and I keep it here, okay, now it still hasn't quite that. Maybe some of you might have seen the other meaning, but now if I go here, it has a slightly different meaning. Because of the size, we have associated symbols and given frames and meaning to it. Now, if I were to possibly go in and maybe color this, right? If I filled all this in, we would maybe start to think, oh, Red Cross. That's helpful. Red Cross. Yeah, we know what the Red Cross is, right? Although I don't think I did a very good job there. So maybe that gave a different meaning than we were expecting, right? But as soon as I drew that symbol, and when it started to not look like a plus and it started to look like a cross, it all of a sudden had different meaning to everybody. So I want you to realize that you have the power to reframe anything you want. You see, you can actually go in and determine what things mean based off of what's happening around you. So if somebody's being negative around you, then you must start practicing. Start practicing reframing. Now, if you need some help, let me know. Comment in the notes or in the section below, or send us an email at info@magicforlife if you need some help with your reframing skills. I'd love to hear about it. So hopefully that helps you with how to deal with negative people. We'll see you at the next podcast. Bye-bye.
Hey lifers, we expect upgrades to the base operating functions of the things like our phones, cars, and even refrigerators. Why then has it not been made a priority that we upgrade the operating systems of our emotional states? We dance around the subject of emotional mastery from a young age. We have so much more knowledge in today's world, yet we're still teaching outdated methods of emotional education, if any are being taught at all. It's time for a change. It's time for an upgrade to our emotional education. Let me help you learn how to do that. Pick up your free copy of Every Minute at everyminutebook.com.